Dias, Hivailta. Hi everybody. Just let me know if the sound is fine and everything is fine, because I actually don't have power today. And this is really weird. This is my first time streaming without power, so I hope it will work. But I'm not yet sure. Hey, nice. The sound is fine. It is actually funny because for anybody who doesn't know, I'm actually in Kiev, Ukraine, and we have some scheduled power outages here. And it just so turns out, usually on weekends we don't really have them, but this particular Sunday I do have them. So right now I don't actually have power in my apartment, and you know, I don't even have water right now because like everything in the building functions with the electricity. We're still going to stream. This is funny. I find it funny. So hey everybody, just taking a little bit time to explain my problems here. I basically stream from the power bank. I have a big power bank, so I connected my PC, my camera, my laptop, these lights behind me. Everything is connected to one single power bank. And we're gonna stream it. Okay, so let's get going then. Let's get going. Yeah, you can't believe how well it works without power. I only have 2 hours, to be honest, so we have a hard time limit. Hello to South Africa. And yeah, guys, let me know where you're from. Always nice to know where everybody's coming from. It kind of inspires me to see like people all around the world watching me. Anyway, as we have a hard time limit with our power bank, let's get started. So recently I posted an animation on the Twitter, which is which was inspired by the Matt Taylor animations. Matt Taylor did a lot of pretty cool animations. What the heck? Maybe the website is down because I have internet. So the Matt Taylor did a lot of really cool animations. I will credit him in the description of the video, so you'll be able to find all the links towards him. And this video was inspired by this animation by Matt Taylor. Yeah, here's his Twitter, MT01. I believe a couple of years ago there was a wave of replications of his infinite animations of this sort. And I also replicated one and I did a stream like 2 or 3 years ago already. And recently I've stumbled again on one of his animations with the text. Maybe it's, yeah, this one in particular. And I decided it's kind of interesting to do that. I thought that it was easy to replicate this one. It turned out, well, not so easy as I thought. But that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna do this impossible animation. Hopefully, if we don't run out of power. We should be fine. Should be fine. Hyvää iltaa to Finland. Hello to Taiwan. Hello to Myanmar, and I'm sure to California. Right. That's the language you speak in California. Okay. Okay, alright. So let's get started. Let's get started. I'm gonna call it, well, impossible. That's basically what we're doing right now. That moment was a long time coming. So for anyone wondering as well, do I have an internet right now during the blackout? Well, I do have some internet right now. Should be enough for my stream. Actually, the router also connected to the power bank, so I needed to. It's like a network of the cords running around my apartment right now, all to the single power bank. Power station, it's called. Right. Impossible. Still can't believe this is actually, I'm doing this. This is ridiculous. Anyway. Well, actually, Myanmar is kind of crazy, right? I'm not sure we had a lot of viewers from Myanmar before. And thank you too for your thank you. Okay, gotta install some depths. Well, I also now know exactly how many watts I need to stream. I need exactly 200 watts per hour to stream, with a peak on 300 watts. Okay, let's open everything up. I'm gonna also arrange the windows. So on the right, this is my usual template. You can find the basis of it on the Patreon. But this is just really basic three.js template. Yeah, just let me arrange windows a little bit. Hello to Brazil. Bom dia, if I remember right. Yes, I think I need more space for the code. Like that. All right. Ready to go. Ready to go. Where do we start? Well, first of all, obviously, to create this kind of animation, we will need 3D text. And there's only one way to create 3D text in three.js, which is text geometry. So let's go. I also found a really nice font that I think works great. Right, and I also have an example for that. It's down here. Привет. Okay, hello to Romania. Boom. Yeah, where do we start? I think the lack of power doesn't really affect the stream. I don't think you would ever notice any difference if I didn't tell you. But it surely does affect my concentration a little bit because I'm like a little more distracted than usual. But anyway, let's focus. So I have the usual like shader here. I don't need all of this. That's gonna be empty now. Right, that's what I want. The next thing, I'm gonna just input the loader and load the JSON file, which I don't really have yet. And then like hello 3.js. Hello 3.js. Okay, where do we start? First of all, I found some font that works great, I think. It's called Folklore. Folk. Yeah, it's really like, I don't know how they call it, geometrical headline kind of font. So I'm gonna download the font. Yeah, I think I had it before, but anyway. So I have the Folklore OTF file right now. Now let's see how do we... Also don't have my laptop connected to the power, so let's see how the M1 handles 1 hour of streaming. All right. Anyway, let's get back. I just hope it will not run out of power, because it might be a little more complicated then. Right, I need the font. So to use the font, you need to first convert it to this JSON format, which is typeface JSON. That's why you do this. So basically just drag it, convert it, and I have it. Have the JSON. Easiest way to use it with a parcel, I'm gonna just call it font data. I'm gonna put it right here. Why data? Because if I call it JSON, the parcel will try to bundle it all together, and I kind of need it to be loaded. Otherwise, I'm not sure. Maybe I can get rid of a loader if I bundle it, but I'm not that curious to find out. I know the data works. It also kind of makes sense because it's not really a JSON I'm gonna be parsing myself. It's just some kind of black box JSON data kind of file. So, right, so I need to import that one. And if I import some random data file, it will... Does this even work like this? Because I thought that I actually need to maybe import it from the examples. Yeah, so I need to import the font loader as well and the text geometry, and I just I think the easiest way is to go to the examples and then just grab this. And then I probably need to replace this line because it's this one basically. Okay. And then the font file itself. Import font from... Right. And because I stated here, well, I will now state here that I can import the data files as the URLs, just to the row transformation of parcel. I should be having the font as the URL now, right? Just let's check that. I don't really have it for some reason. I have to have the font data. Ooh, why is that? So it's loading the file, but it's loading it as an HTML for some reason. Why does it happen? Oh, because I don't yet, I haven't fixed the URL. This is just the old hard-coded URL here. So I'll put here the font, let's call it font URL. Yeah, maybe I will make the next stream with React Fiber. Just that I don't really do much of an animations with React Fiber in like my daily life. But I still love it, and I still kind of jealous for the React Fiber because there's so many updates. It kind of requires now to merge something from React Fiber to back to three.js because they went too far recently with all the new materials and stuff. But that's great. That's development. Okay. So I have a geometry. Let's create mesh. Copilot does a great job helping me with this. Maybe I can make font a little bigger. Hello to Ukraine. Slava Ukraini. Друже. All right. And let's add this one. Okay, and I have something. The text is really huge now, and it has this ugly bevel enabled thing, which is crazily big. I don't need it. I don't know, 50. The size is probably something small. And then the height is actually kind of depth, but I believe historically it's called the height. So right now it's going to be like a square. The profile of the text is going to be the square because the height, the depth, and the size of the font is actually the same. It might not be the same with the like non-headline fonts because you know, some letters might have a different height, not always living to the whole line height, or how do they call it? Depend font developers. Anyway, so with those like headline, all caps, rectangular fonts, it works really great. So as you can see, we have the Hello 3.js now in the nice folklore font. Yes, смерть ворогам. Так. The next thing. Where do we go next? There are two things that we will need to do. I mean, three things, three steps. I'm even going to write them down, actually. So the first, we need to make it all circular, right? Not dependency, but just circular. Next thing, we would need to create the illusion, like the magic for the impossible text. And then we will need to another layer of magic. Which order I'm gonna do this? So this the first two is kind of similar to the generic like Mobius like three.js animation, and the last one is actually specific to the text animation, because if you want to animate text, it's a little bit more complicated than that. Anyway, I think this is the right order. So first of all, I'm gonna make it circular, and then let's see. Right now, it's not really centered, so so it just starts in the point 0, 0, 0, and let's add, make it black. That might save some power. And And what? Yeah, hello to Texas, right? And where do I need to go? Well, I need to center the geometry, and I need to access that axis helper. Axis helper three.js. Yeah, this one just to see where all the axes are. The 3D space. Debug easier. So right now you could see that the text starts actually in the middle of the, I mean, in the center of the start of the coordinate system. I actually went to that institution like in the beginning of the war. They didn't take me. Right. Now I need to make this text rounded and like circular text. Okay. First of all, there's a bunch of API calls for the geometry, so I can just do the geometry. And it's gonna be sent right now. Next thing I want to do, I want to fix my vertex shader and do some stuff in there. But first, I'm gonna need have actually a nice write-up on the code drops that I'm gonna link in the description, which explains like how I'm gonna do the rounded text. But here I'm gonna just do these parts live. So I will need those two values. What else do I need here? Time I have already. Anyway, I think that's enough. And then you min, you max, and time. Okay. Then I need to calculate the size of my geometry. Let's calculate the size of my geometry. Geometry. Compute. Bounding box. And now I should be having the geometry bounds. I don't remember the API myself, but it should be somewhere in the geometry. Probably geometry bounding box, right? That's what the copilot says. Yeah, and I have the mix and the mon and the min and the maximum values like in three-dimensional space, like the bounding box of my mesh. And then I can set those. A lot to do on the stream, so I'm going to try to let's just set them to 0. Doesn't really matter. And then you min, max, and then I will set those uniforms. Serial geometry bounding box min, right? And the same goes for max. So now I should be having those two values. What? Oh, that's because I don't have an arrow function here. Right, so now it works. I have those uniforms. I'm not yet able to see them, but let's map range JLSL. I need the map range function from JLSL. This is the one. Kind of like the map range. Well, maybe this one works as well. I only need it for the floats. I'm just gonna put that one in here. So basically it takes what? It already tries to help me in some way. You see, like Copilot really guessed the names of my uniforms and tries to predict like what kind of thing I'm gonna try and it actually might be an interesting distortion effect in here, but not what I want. So I'm just used to map range name for this function. Takes the float value in min and max and then out min, out max. Doesn't clamp the value, but maybe it's not that bad. So float x is gonna be map range, not the VUVX, although that might be the value that I need. So I'm just gonna position x, because this is the geometrical position of every point of vertex. And then like 0, 1, you min x, you man x, because I'm I'm trying to map on the x value. And then let's debug this really fast. Debug. So I'm just going to output the value in the shader right here, and here I need to set it. And vdebug sets just as x. Let's see. I'm not able to see anything yet. So this should be working. I believe it's the other way around. Yeah, I think we map in this range to this range. Yeah, because this is the output. See, Copilot played a joke on me. Okay, let's position X. Position X is fine. So maybe umin and umax X is not fine for some reason. Okay, let's just try debug this. Yeah, they seem fine. I don't know, maybe the X is some kind of dedicated variable here. Oh, really? It was some kind of dedicated variable. I just couldn't call. Why does it work now? It seems like I didn't change anything. Anyway, so we mapped, we have some value which is changing from 0 to 1 from left to right on our mesh. So this means I can remove now this, but I will leave it for further debug issues. It's too many values here. It's VUV, it should be just one value. Right, so now I'm looking at the ugly UVs. Now it's time to do the actual transformation. Ground white, maybe. I'm gonna do the compromise. Something like this. Right, so we're gonna see it even if it's just black. Anyway, for this particular one, I think UV might have worked, but because we're gonna do future crazy stuff, the UV wouldn't work for me. So let's do something more. Now I need to make it circular. How do you make it circular? I'm gonna go to the vertex shader. So first of all, I'm gonna map it theta. No, not theta. It's gonna be vec3 dir. It's gonna be like three-dimensional vector, and then it's gonna be so this value between 0 and 1. I might even go further and make it between minus pi and pi. So it's a 2 pi range already. And then I can do the sine of x, and then cosine of x, and then 0. So this doesn't change anything yet, but what I want to do in the next step is to make text like circular. GLSL is kind of a C language, C-like language. All right. Next. How do we do this? So actually kind of tries to help me here. So the position is gonna be what? I'm gonna have some radius here for animation. Plot radius, I don't know, 0.5, something like that. And then the radius. So first of all, I'm gonna multiply the radius with this dir. This way I'm kind of getting this circle around my mesh in the xy plane, because this is the x and y, the sine and cosine. This is a circular thing. Then I can actually add the z right here, just position z. And then I also need to map the y. So this maps the x coordinate, it maps to the circle around my mesh. This maps the Z, because Z should stay the same because I'm not doing transformation in the Z axis. And lastly, I'm gonna need to multiply dir with probably just position Y. At least I don't have GLSL errors, so let's see what's gonna happen. Okay, so this basically works. I can maybe just a longer text, so it fits more. And I think I would need to make it like the second part to make it bigger. It's not really a complicated thing, but I can basically multiply it with 3, and it's gonna get fuller. I do have all this math in my head right now because it's kind of an easy step here. Maybe I shouldn't multiply it because that way I will distort my mesh. And then the radius, maybe it could be smaller. Yeah, it looks much better here. And most beautiful English words. Which one was that? Eloquence. I think eloquence should be there. Access denied. What? What? My access to most beautiful English words were denied. Serendipity, solitude, clinomania, or clinomania. Sequoia. Okay, I like sequoia today. There's gonna be a double sequoia for us. Sequoia and basically sequoia. Sequoias all around. Oh god, such a good joke. There's a slight problem though with this approach. You could see that there is a letter spacing between like first and the second sequoia, like between A and S on the top, but there's literally no, you could see it now, no letter spacing on the down here. Maybe it's not a huge problem, it's fixable. So the next step, we got the rounded text. We can remove that. Now let's create an illusion. Then I'll create 2 scenes and also groups. And then add those groups to the scene. Right. Next thing I want to do, I want to use the orthographic projection here. Perspective just doesn't do the job. This illusion doesn't work with perspective cameras. Which also unfortunately means it doesn't work with the matcap material. All right, it's going to be the size 3. No, not 3. Something is wrong. Something is off. What exactly is the problem here? Would have worked right away. So I have the orthographic camera with the aspect. Okay. Yeah. It was a typo on the height. Okay, we have this. Oh, maybe it's good enough. I'm just gonna move the browser a bit higher, so you will always see what's gonna be happening. Yeah. Thanks. There's a little delay between the video and the real life. I managed to figure it out, but thank you. This is really sometimes hard to figure out during the stream. Anyway, I don't really need this. Not that it's in the way, but still. All right, so when you have the orthographic projection, you're not really able to see like the edge. It's like looking straight at the profile of the mesh and all the points. So the next thing that I would like to do is to implement the illusion, right? So for this, I will need like 2 scenes, 1 camera, and 2 groups. So when I create a mesh here, I'm going to create 2 meshes actually. same material, and that's that. I don't like that. I like this. And then this scene one at not really scene, but the group. So now I have two scenes, two similar kind of scenes. And I can render the second one. We can't really tell the difference yet. So first of all, I'm going to enable the scissor rendering so-called. There's a three.js scissor render. Set scissor, yeah, I think I'll need to run the set scissor and then this one to true. I need to set this one to true. Right, and then I will immediately lose all my rendering because it's still there, right? The mesh is still there, but I'm not able to see anything. And that's because I need to set now what am I rendering exactly on the scene and what are the dimensions of the thing that I'm rendering. So I'm going to do this. Okay, it already helps me. So this is going to render like the left half of the screen. Let's see. Yeah, we have it. And then I'm going to do the same, and I'm going to render the right half of the screen, but with a different scene. Yeah. Copilot is actually really helpful, because in these kind of things, it's really easy to mess up. Although, sometimes Copilot does that for you. I mean, make an error and a bug. So I'm going to render first scene on the left side of the screen and second scene on the right side of the screen. So basically, you will not be able to tell the difference, except that you see that the axes are only on the left side of the screen now, right? You could see that when I'm moving to the right side of the screen, there's no axis, because this is actually two different scenes right now. It just renders only half of the screen. Like, it just basically takes half and renders only here. So the first scene is only on the left, and the second scene is on the right. And right now, I can try to do some funky shit now. So I can do the group rotation. Which one is that? It's the X. So now you could see that I rotated only one of the scenes. Let's also add the anti-alias. Just a little bit better. And then I can do the same for the second scene. And move it right here. This group one. So right now you could see they are kind of, if that wasn't a text, if that was just a box, and we could actually simulate it pretty easy, that would immediately mean that we already achieved the effect here. But that's basically two different meshes here, you could see. This, it gets especially trippy if you do this. It's like, but without the lighting, it doesn't look as cool as it might be. So we're going to implement the lighting now, maybe. And then we're going to do the final step with the mesh. Oof, it's going to be more complicated than I thought. Anyway, so right now you don't really have the effect here, but if you just do the simplest kind of lighting here, so I have the normals here, right? I mean, at this point there are two like ways we could go for it. For now, I'm using shader material, and it doesn't really have the lighting, right? So to implement lighting, I would need to implement the lights and basic calculations, stuff like that. You'll already see that the illusion is kind of there. It just, the colors do not match up here. And that's because it's UVs, it's not the lighting. So I think I want to do the normal material here, like something like mesh standard material, and then add lights. Do we have lights in this template? I don't remember. I think I don't. So I'm going to add the lights. I will need to add two sets of lights because every scene has its own set of light. So first of all, I'm going to add the ambient. And then just going to clone it. So I've added the ambient here. Then I'm also gonna add the directional lighting. Where do I position it? So I probably need something symmetrical in terms of like this plane in the center. The easiest way is something like -1. So this is gonna be coming from the bottom. I might need something from the top, but let's see. So right now I have a really simple lighting, just the ambient and then the light. Okay. Now let's switch this whole render into the mesh standard material. How do you do this? We do this material. First of all, I will need the uniforms. And there I'll do this. Right, and then I'll need the material. I don't know which color. Let it be something like this. So right now everything stops working because I'm referring to the uniforms of this object, and I don't really have any. I don't really have any uniforms yet. Yeah. I'd be honest with you guys, even though your thank you, I'm really grateful for all your thank yous. Russian language kind of triggers me lately for obvious reasons. Because, well, obviously I'm streaming without power right now for only that reason. All right. So we have this material and then material on before compile. But thank you for reaching out with that. Thank you. All right. Right now. Yeah. Scissor is actually pretty powerful. I think recently Paul Henschel for the React Fiber did something related to that thing because like rendering different parts of the screen, especially if you have complicated three.js UIs like interfaces, so like medical stuff maybe, or buildings which you need to render profile from top, stuff like that. Scissors might be a really good idea. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna need to add the uniforms. So it's gonna be shader uniforms. Does it work like this? Do we even have the uniforms at this point? Or maybe just basically do this. Anyway. And then I'll need to do a bunch of stuff in here. Plus shader, vertex shader. So first of all, I need to copy my map range function. I'm just going to add it to the top of my vertex shader. Then I also need to add the uniform mean, max, and then plot time. Right, we have it now. Boom, 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 boom. What else? Should be fine so far, right? And instead of setting this material, I'm just gonna set these uniforms here. It's fine for now, but something gets wrong. That value. Do I have still this material somewhere? What's happening in here? Cannot set properties to undefined setting value. Why do I get that error here? Oh, what is undefined exactly? Scene. Have the camera. Everything seems to be in place. This material, these uniforms. Maybe I'll just comment this completely. Where did I make this error? Come on. So this happens when I render the first scene with the camera. So uniform, you mean you max float time. This seems right. Maybe I just set it as is. But that's the error. No. Okay, let's just see what this material is. Seems to be mesh standard material. Pretty normal. So what's going wrong here? I don't set uniforms. It's everything all right, right? I think in my last stream I did pretty much the same thing. I'm just wondering what's wrong with this one. Isn't this shader uniform? Okay, I'm just gonna look in the previous stream. Like the mid-one stream. What have we done there? So we just set them one by one. Well, I think that's possible also, but I'm just not sure why it didn't work with these. Seems like everything is fine here. Anyway, we can do it one by one as well. Like you main like this. Will it work like this? Kind of. Okay. I wonder why it didn't work. Some JavaScript thing probably. Why did I use uniforms there? Ah, it's uniforms. Ah. Oh, is it? This one is uniforms and it's all uniforms anyway. I'm not sure. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, the one that this should actually work. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just like this. Let's try it. What's wrong with you now? There's some characters, probably forbidden ones. Okay, anyway, this is pretty much the same, just a little more code. All right, right. So we have the text here. Somehow different colors. That's because I only have lights in one scene probably, and I'm not lighting the second scene. Oh, that's because I have two add lights function. I declared it twice. Okay, now it's similar. It's still two scenes, but it's the same thing all around. Okay. Maybe not blue, but something like white. Right. We have something maybe smaller. Smaller frostum. Right. Hey, glad to see you all guys here. Okay, we are getting close. So we will have to re-implement the circular thing for the mesh standard material, and then the only one thing left is to create the final magic with the text. Right. Where do I go next? Don't need this. Don't need this. I don't need those settings. Don't need the resize function. Okay, let's focus. Okay, here then I would like to update my shader. So yeah, I think it's begin vertex, much what I need. And I'm gonna replace it with something. How does begin vertex ends? I'll need to go here, here. Okay, there's one is that. So in the begin vertex we have the transform thing. Okay, transform. So then I have the map range function, so I can calculate the x again, and I can go with these animations. So these. So for now it just should work. Okay, it just works. Then I should calculate this dir and then the updated position. Okay, the dir is this, and the updated position is this, and then I can just overwrite transformed with this position. Okay, maybe here, suppose. The radius is an undeclared identifier. Okay, let's hard code it one, and then the pos is redefinition. Something of this sort. Yeah, so now we have kind of an illusion. It's not yet working, and the reason for that is the normal calculation. So we also need to calculate the normals here. So right now we are actually bending the shader material here. I mean the mesh standard material here. I mean maybe like this, it's better actually. Well, it's kind of, it's circle, you know, sine and cosine, it's a circle. That's the only thing used here. And then you just imagine that you map every horizontally, like every horizontal coordinate of your mesh on a circle, and then you also need to offset it with a z. It's this one, and then you need to offset it with a y in the direction of a circle. It's this. So it's basically, you have to imagine all that stuff. I mean, maybe that's the core principle for this one. You have to imagine it in your head. It's not, I wouldn't say it's complicated. I mean, it's hard at first, but it's not the stuff that's really complicated. Right, and then something with the normals I need. Begin normal vertex. Is that the one that I need? That the one that I need? I think so. So to map this transformation, I don't remember which one comes first. I think normal actually should be coming first before the vertex. But anyway, so I'm gonna map it again with the like XX variable. And then because I have the normal here, I would need to do the same transformation to the normal, just so the mesh looks more natural. Well, thank you for the kind words, guys. So, but this angle is going to be, like this angle should be 0 for the central point, because we actually bending it like this. It's like the text goes shoo. But it should be pi for the like leftmost point and minus pi for the rightmost point. So here, like let's see how it ends. I think it's object normal here, yeah. So like 3 temp equals object normal, and then kind of need rotational code here, right? I need to rotate. So GLSL rotate. GLSL rotate. It's not something I wanted. Probably this code will do the job for me. So I'm just gonna put it in the header of my vertex shader. And what I need basically just rotate function, which rotates vector around the axis on the angle. And then I'll just temp equals rotate temp x, y, z. This is the axis that I need. If I rotate it this way, it's probably z, because I bend it on the inside the xy plane, so it's probably around the z axis. And here I will need to use well, I've just deleted that, but I kind of need this. This is the angle. It's exactly like minus pi and pi on the edges, so this should do the job for me. Transformed undeclared identifier. What? Transformed false boss. Okay, this is not in the normal. It shouldn't be in the normal. Okay, and now I think we got the illusion. Although I think we might want to put the light on top as well, maybe. Maybe rotate them the other way around. Also helps. Or do I set the object normal back? I don't set it. Yeah, looks good now, right? So now we have the illusion. Do we? Yeah, I think this is the Mobius thing, right? I've seen so many of them, it's hard to tell now, but I think it is, right? It's an impossible shape right now. So basically, if you rotate both of them, at this point, you're gonna get the illusion, and well, we can do that, right? So, last time, I don't really update that thing yet, so this uniforms time value doesn't do anything, but it should be, right? Because the uniforms is an object, and I made it a shallow kind of copy, so the time values should be still referenced from the uniforms. This was all inspired by the Matt Taylor animation and then some stuff like that. But then it's easy once you grasp this concept that there is a like, if you look at the shapes with the like 45 degrees rotation orthographically, they kind of look the same if you rotate them like minus 45 degrees or 45 degrees, or pi divided by 4, whichever you prefer. So once you grasp that concept, it's kind of an easy thing to do. Easy thing to do. All right. So what I wanted to do next. So here, I'm not yet rotating anything. So let's try to rotate it. Theta equals, I think we need another like 20 minutes here. So x plus time. So instead of x, I'm going to use theta here. And I think I could use this double x thing actually, because first comes the normal and then comes the vertex. Yeah, I shouldn't get any error. So right now I have the time. I'm not. Do I update this time at all? I'm gonna move them around. It makes more sense because it comes in this order. And then okay, not like this, but maybe just to check. Okay, the time is not updating for me yet, and it's time. It's varying for some reason. Yeah, it does work for me. Just typed it as a varying for whatever reason. Okay, so now we have the impossible shape. It doesn't really quite work with the text, as you might see, because one of the text is basically, you could see like, okay, we have to stop. We have to stop this. And now we have time all around. So one of the texts, you could see the top of the text, and then you could see the like profile of the text. So they can't really like merge together. If that was just a square geometry, like box buffer geometry, that would work perfectly well. And we could actually even simulate that. It's really fast. Should only take a minute or half an hour You never know. But anyway, so I could do geometry here. It's 601 y. I mean, like this. Doesn't work for some reason. Assignment to constant variable. Reading none. Yeah, so basically you could see that it becomes this kind of mesh, like Mobius mesh. It does look like that, but not with the text, because text is not like symmetrical for the pi divided by 2 rotation, for the 90 degrees rotation. It's not symmetrical. The box is, the text is not. So this final thing we need to do to achieve the impossible text animation here is I was actually kind of surprised. I spent some time, I was trying to figure out like how to merge all those texts together so they work fine. But actually, if you pay close attention, like you could see the S is now, we saw the profile of S. Now we saw the profile of S rotated by 90 degrees. But now we see the profile of S rotated exactly pi, like on 180 degrees. So actually, this is impossible mesh for a couple of reasons. Not only because it's Mobius, but also because it's different text all around. So the length of this circle is actually not 2 pi's, but actually 4 pi's. So each of the circles actually has a double text there. And to create that, show you that, I'm gonna do it right now. First of all, let's switch back to the normal text. And right now we have still two meshes here. So first of all, I will need to create like 4 copies of the same text. And then, where's my sequoia? So it's enough for 1 now. So what I do next, I'm gonna what I'm gonna do next, I need the merge buffer geometry function. Merge buffer geometries. Will be really useful. Yeah, this is where the copilot is really helpful. I don't really need it to look it up. It just did that for me. So this function just merges buffer geometries. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna calculate the bounding box for this thing. I'm not gonna center it yet. I'm gonna create the dummy, gonna be box geometry, something really small. This is gonna be the letter spacing basically for me. And then just gonna clone my geometry, and then final, I'm gonna call the merge buffer geometries, geometry, the clone and the dummy. Basically, I need to merge them. And then I can proceed with all my calculations like geometry, compute bounding box, geometry center maybe. But before I merge them, I want to move this geometry to an actual clone, compute, bounding box. And then I want dummy to translate. And here it's going to be clone, bounding max x00. So I'm going to move my small box geometry to the end of the mesh. So right now it's not centered geometry, I'm just moving it to the end of the mesh, and then I'm going to merge dummy with the clone. Then I can center and proceed with everything else. So right now it's just one like sequoia that I have here, but I already fixed the issue with the letter spacing. I mean, it's a dummy fix. There are probably many other ways to do this, but anyway, it just works okay. Non-indexed. All right. The geometry should be non-indexed. Dummy translate is not a function. Dummy is the box geometry. A lot of things to do here. You see a lot of like small things. How do you translate? It's just translate. So dummy is a okay, like this probably. Yeah, it's all fine now. I just forgot the braces here. Yeah, probably a little bit easier, but I think there were some tutorials for the Blender. But it's mostly, I think, about the rendering. It's just easier to handle the rendering stuff and like bent materials. The principle is going to be the same. Anyway, we're almost there. So now I need to copy this geometry. So I created this geometry, and then I'll just gonna clone one. Is gonna be the geometry clone. This is already geometry with a spacing in the end. And then I'm gonna create an array, and then a loop. Create per version rotated each time. Oh crap. That's not what I want to do. But anyway. Almost there. But this is the hardest step. Now I need to copy it 4 times. And then I can center it and do whatever I want with it. So this is the geometry. Okay. Clone one. It's probably like more short code. I'm just trying to write code which I don't make a mistake in. Compute, bound in box. So now I have the dimension of my final kind of mesh, which I already kind of did here. But anyway, so clone one is my first final mesh. Let's call it final. Let's also output. Final one. I need final one now. All right. So the bounding box is symmetrical. It's centered, right? The x values are exactly opposite. And the next thing I want to do, yeah, I'm gonna clone my final one thing. Then I'm gonna translate it to what? To the half of its max value, basically. How to go about this? All I want is just copy 4 times mesh one by one. Do I need the width of the mesh here? Because basically the half of the width is the max value. Yeah, let's start with first one. Center. Clone translate. Max x value. Multiply it with I. And then 0, 0. And then I also need to rotate it. So clone rotate x divided by 2, multiply it with I. So each time I want to rotate my mesh, and then clones. And then I'm going to use super final, like from this moment before super final center. And I mean, I can just set geometry super final, and then again geometry center. No, maybe better super final. A little messy here. And then let's see what we have now. So the meshes are kind of overlapping right now because I'm not moving correctly here. So this is the part that I'm still not sure. It's like it just, it was easy for me to bend this mesh into circle, but it's hard for me to just translate it to repeat it one by one. Yeah, hello everyone. We're kind of on the end phase of the stream, but it's still 2 steps to figure out to do. All right. One final one, bounding box. Maybe multiplied by 2. Yeah, so we kind of have it now, do we? I'm not sure about the centering. It seems that the centering is a little bit off for some reason. And why could that happen? So the meshes should be the same width and the height, but it's they somehow are not. So I'm translating them. Maybe if I don't rotate them, should they be the same? Yeah, if I don't rotate, they are the same. Maybe I first rotate and then center. Will this work for me? No. For some reason, do I have the same values for the mesh text geometry here? Yeah, 0.1, 0.1. I wonder why it doesn't fit here. It should be fitting. Okay, maybe if I just final dummy, not the dummy, but the clone. Still the same error. What the fuck? I think it should have worked with this particular font. Final.center. Or maybe, yeah, maybe I missed that. I think I've missed some center somewhere. All right. Oh, maybe that's about Q. You're right. I tried it with the word without Q. Yeah. You're always on point. Yeah, I remember I had this. I had this thing. Let's just call it impossible then. Yeah, because the Q is out of, and this makes it weird shapes. That's why I told you that I mentioned it myself, that when the letters have a different height, you're gonna run into problems eventually. Yeah, so this works. Okay, I have the impossible, and then the rotated impossible. Is that what I have? Yeah, like one impossible is one direction, the other one is the other direction. So basically what I do next, I do this. I want 4 impossibles now. So it's impossible, 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 and then impossible. Yeah, it's 4 of them. It's all centered. Now I bend them into the circle again. But it's gonna be pretty, like, I mean, it's gonna be pretty. That's right. It works well. There's only one thing with this, that I actually need to, it will not, although actually this shape might be looping, or maybe not. This is a more complicated shape, but it doesn't look as cool as like this one, right? Because we have to have less text there. There's one step left. When we bend the text now, and let me just remove just for the debug issues. And then just render. So right now we see the usual scene, just one text. And what I want to do, I want to bend it twice. So this X thing is going to be between 2 pi's actually. it should be overlapping here. And you could see that some letters couldn't be even seen because there are letters inside the letters. But then we need to make the final touch. We need to remove half of the mesh. And then for that, we will do the fragment shader. This is the final step. Fragment shader. We would also need, this gets a little more complicated than I thought, but yeah, we're on the final thing here. So fragment shader, I think it's something output fragment or something, what I'm looking for. Output fragment, yeah. This is just the last thing that happens in the, one of the last things that happens in the shader. And here is basically JLFrog color time, so I can do just to check. Yeah, it does work. So then the last thing to do is actually a varying. Discard half of the mesh. And I need to do the same for the fragment shader, obviously. So I'm putting varying both in the vertex and the fragment shader. I will calculate my varying right here. Inside my, I know it's worth it, but I have like not much time. Although you could see how well the M1 handles everything. I'll just have 56% left, even without the power. Okay. Discard. So I need to calculate the discard value. Sorry for this stream being a bit longer, guys. I'll try to stick with the 1 hour, but sometimes just gets more invalid. Okay, I probably need to insert the line breaks there for it to work. Right, fixed that. Now I need to calculate this discard value and finally put it to work there. So what's going to be the discard value? So it should be dependent on the angle. Should be dependent on the angle. Oh, it's complicated, but yeah, let's go for this step. I think when I originally did that, it was just trial and error. So I tried a lot of things and then finally, okay, this works. But yeah, let's do this. So in vertex shader, I will need to calculate some offset. So I don't want the overlapping thing, right? I want to only see half of the mesh here. How do I do this? Just the last bit of clever math. My brain, help me, please. Okay, the x. So this theta is between pi. Actually not. I don't use this. So I have this x-axis thing and this x-axis between 2 pi and pi. And I only need to show the pi range in here. Okay, so let's make it -1, 1 first. Then here, so it was 2 pi, so I need to multiply everything with 2 pi now. Multiply it with 2 pi, 2 pi. This should work just as it worked before. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Bernatsky. Thank you, guys. I'm gonna finish it still. Okay, so we have this, and now I need to calculate, yeah, something of this sort, yeah. Maybe it's actually as simple as that. But I will need it to be dependent on time as well. This is where the problem lies. So I need somehow to make it dependent on time. But maybe we'll make a static version first and then. So I'm gonna v discard equals xx. And then I need to account for the time somewhere here. So when this angle, this is actually the same angle and should be like the same. So let's just calculate it at a theta. Theta, which I actually do here. So let's just calculate it in 1 point. XX. One rotate. Yeah. Okay, so this one is fine then. I have a separate theta and I have a separate x. And well, let's try to discard something. This will work. We now see the whole mesh again. Perfectly fine. It's just that with time, I'm not sure. I should probably map this whole thing to time as well. So maybe map it to this range then. What did just happen? Okay. Maybe not. Maybe then not. Okay, if I add time here, I see the rotation mesh. Does it actually work already? I'm not sure. It's pretty fast, so I'm not sure if it's working. Oh, it does work, but I'm only seeing one mesh. That's why it's a perfect loop right now, because I only see one mesh and it just rotates one mesh. Yeah. So to do this, I will also need two things here. And I need this to be dependent on time. So this v discard value should be somehow dependent on time. So I need to like disconnect it from pi to be dependent on time. We are so close. Almost there. Let me remind myself how I did that before. So maybe I should add time not to the theta angle, but like here. And then I could take the mod value of this. Like this x-axis between -1 and 1. So basically if I take something mod 2, this should repeat all the time because the 2 pi is the loop length. And then, so this discard value is going to be between 0 and 2 all the time, right? Doesn't show me anything now for some reason. Because it's always greater than 0, okay. And then I need to make it even slower. Sorry, a bit complicated part here. Then let's maybe zoom it a little so we look closer. The frustum. All right. Now we're seeing only one mesh. And the mesh is fine, but almost fine. So I'll need to discard. How do I do this? So I think it's about it greater than 0 because half of the time I need to discard it. So don't show equals step. Just 1. And then if like don't show created then 0.5, then discard. Yeah, I think it does the job now. So this mesh is actually 2 pi length, right? It's actually like a spiral, and we only be able, yeah. Now it's the right way. It's the right way all around. Almost there, guys. Boom, 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 boom. The last thing I want to do, I want to create another uniforms uniform U offset, because I will have 2 meshes of this kind on my screen, and I want them to be cut, one on the left and one on the right. So this one, like I could add, where's my V discard? So this way we cut it on the right, you see? That's where the cut is. And if I do the minus, I'm gonna cut it on the left. Perfect. This is exactly what I want. And then I can add the mix 0.25 minus 0.25 depending on the U offset. And this U offset value is going to be different for 2 of my meshes. So I will need to... why is that happening? No match and overloaded function found. That's why. Yeah, seems right to me. And U offset, maybe I haven't made the U offset. Okay, it's gotta be flawed. Almost there. See, creating the impossible is still a little complicating. Tag is dead. I wish it was dead. I could finally get on with my life. All right, all right, all right. So we have the mix. Now I need to create 2 different materials. This. So I'll create the function to get material, basically. And then this whole on before compile thing. Just so I can have copies of my material. And in here, where do I have it? In here, so let's... Oh, it's actually, I have to like delete this and copy this. Oof, it's getting messy, right? Material, and then I have to return my material somewhere here. And then here, this material equals get material, this get material. So this works as expected for now, but I will need to update 2 materials with the... I don't need because uniforms are shared. Okay, that's fine. But I don't need them shared actually. Because I need one mesh to have the offset. So basically what we will now do, we now show both meshes. We're gonna cut them on the left side and on the right side, which you don't really see because of the scissor rendering. And then they're gonna just match. This is the plan. Ooh. Oh god. You're Danish from Pakistan and you speak Ukrainian. This is a crazy world. Okay. Final step. I need to copy the uniforms. I think the single uniforms will not work for me anymore. I will kind of need to... this maybe. And then here you offset. Gonna be 1. And here you offset is gonna be 0. 0. And here, I'm gonna go with it as a parameter. Should work like this, right? Works for now at least. So I have two materials. I will need to update two uniforms as well. And uniform here. Well, let's not update time for now. Let's see how it will work without the time. Now I want to bring back all the scissor happening stuff. Okay, it actually rotates both of the meshes. Seems like the uniforms are still shared or what? Why is the second mesh rotating? Oh, because the material is the same for now. Okay. Yeah, right now it's not rotating because I'm not setting time. It's a bit trippy. Let's figure this out. Uniforms 1. Yeah, now they are both rotating. We're almost there. They're both cutting now on the right. Whereas I need one to cut on the right and one on the left to hide this cut. And this has been done with the U offset variable. I'm not sure why it doesn't work now. So depending on the U offset, which is either 0 or 1, seems like it's always 0 or something. Uniform U offset. U offset. Okay, let's try. So cut is on the right now. Cut is on the left now. So the mix should actually, maybe it's like this. So on the left mesh is cut is on the left. For the right mesh, cut is also on the left. Why the cut is in the same? This should be different for both of the meshes because I'm using this uniform. Or do I set this uniform? Maybe I should set it again. Like material on before compile. Like U offset is 1 here. So let's just put like 1. The cut is on the right. It's 0. The cut is on the left. So for some reason U offset is not working for me. Oh, we're almost there. Just this this small thing. Why it doesn't work? The U offset. Okay, maybe like these uniforms. Console. These uniforms and these uniforms 1. They seem to be the same. Like the U offset. I don't even have the U offset in the second one. Why is that? Like there is U offset in one of them and no U offset in the second one. How is it possible? They are right here. They're basically the same. Okay, now they are stuff like this. Now on the left mesh is cut on the right, and on the both meshes still cut on the left. What is wrong with this code? Okay, let's see. So U offset is 0 for this one, and then here it's 1. So get material. I'm returning the copy of the material every time. And I'm setting the uniforms. Everything seems to be right. And U offset variable seems to be right. So what is wrong exactly? Maybe someone has spotted the mistake here. Oh, why? U offset uniform is not working for me. I'm using it in the vertex shader and I have the uniform defined as a float. And I also have the... You see, you could spend... I mean, in real life, that could have been hours. I just missed like setting it here. So now left mesh. Now we see both cuts, which is the opposite of what I want. Like I want to hide both cuts. I want to hide both of those cuts. To do this, I'm just going to switch this shift with the U offset for both of my meshes, right and the left. So now we don't see any cuts, but it's not yet there. Like we have to offset the mesh a little bit, just so it's fine. So right here, I'm just gonna probably add U offset again. Maybe U offset. So almost there, maybe minus. So we have to figure out the exact offset for those meshes to like get together. And then maybe we would need to change like this part as well. Because for now, they're not really... Oh, because both of those parts are actually offsetting my mesh, they need to play nice together, right? I think it's gotta be 1, because the period is 2. So the P is looking... Now it's all about figuring out this value. It seems like something like this is missing here. So the cuts are in the wrong place, but I'm only interested in the meshes to combine. This should be like combining. Should be combining. It's gotta be the right value here. Maybe it's just for some reason this is a little bit off. I wonder why. Just exactly 90 degrees off. So maybe something wrong with my rotation. So I have the impossible mesh here. They have it looking at me. Well, it seems right. Just figure out how to offset those meshes. Or should I even offset them? Maybe it just work like this. Like here, maybe we can just offset randomly the letters. Just doesn't seem to work right now, for some reason. So whatever I write here, like, is just getting discarded. Because I multiply it with 0, yeah. Well, it seems like it's getting discarded for some reason. Yeah, but it's basically what I did. I just cloned material. But it's still... I wonder why. Okay. So right now we don't see any cuts. It's just almost there. We just have to figure out the offset of the rotation. Oh, I think I know what the reason might be. Because we not only we need to offset it here, but we also need to offset it here. It's like you... I think it's just 0.5. Because I basically have it in two times I calculate this angle. Yeah. Would you believe it? This is it. Yeah, so it's 2 meshes actually. It's 2 meshes actually. And then I could add a little bit more light. Little more light. More lights is what I need. I don't know, some other direction. This one. Yeah, just a little more light to get the illusion, maybe. Probably could be a different kind of lights, like to emphasize the illusion. And here maybe, like, I don't know, this is not really a pretty kind of lightning, but maybe like this. I don't know. Well, this is already beautiful, right? So yeah, just to get back and figure out what was the mistake there. But I already made the Tautajima video. It's unfortunately in Russian, but it's an old one. Maybe I'll do that too. You could see here actually where the illusion is happening. The letters are being slightly distorted right here. But it's hard to see with this font. So it actually kind of works great. Let's make it brighter. Yeah, so this is it. This is the font that we're using. So the problem that I had here, first of all, I forgot to like reinstate the uniforms. Really stupid. I think we spent like 5 or 10 minutes with that. And then the other problem that I had when I tried this offset, it actually was correct from the first try, but I forgot that the actual rotation of the mesh is being offsetted here because I calculated the theta angle separately from the like discard angle, because theta is in terms of pi and the discard was in terms of just numbers of pi, because it's easier to, so I don't have to put the mod 2 pi's here, although I could have done that as well. Yeah, so basically there are a lot of things happening here, and the most important one is the text repeated twice. Just to emphasize that, for the last thing I'm gonna show you, what? I'm gonna show you this. So I'm gonna show you plus show you why it is a spiral actually. 0, 0, x, x. So it is actually a spiral in a three-dimensional space. And if I get back to the debug view for a second, I'm gonna see it's looking like this because we are discarding it right now. Ooh, I got the power back right at the end of the stream. So when I use this discard, it is actually like the mesh is shown twice. It's like this. But then I discard half of the mesh. There's actually 2 circles here, I could see. But then I discard half of the mesh, and with a like don't show discard, and we only see like 1 circle. So at all times we see full circle, but we only see exactly 1 part of this circle. This is happening because we are using this b discard value modulo 2, meaning modulo 2 pi. And this is why it all happens. So here, if I just type 0, then you could play with the lighting, of course, and maybe white, maybe just white lighting could go here. Like instead of using the orange, maybe I should just, well, yeah, kind of works. Yeah, so this is it. I'm just gonna go back a little and render full mesh again and remove my debug stuff. And there we go. We have the animation, the full animation. We did it! We did it without the power. First stream without the power. Thank you guys for being with me. Thank you for fixing my errors. It's hour and 40 minutes, probably one of the longest streams, but I hope you like that. And well, the article describing all the like transformation, the math is actually on the code drops, except the last part, which you can probably repeat yourself might as well. And I hope you like that. Hello to all your countries. Stay safe. and be happy and say some kind words to the people that you love. Hope you're gonna have a nice week. And I'm gonna go continue with my life because I now have power. I mean, I can recharge everything now. I'll probably still have like half an hour left on my power bank. We're good to go. We're good to go to stream without the power. All right.